The first time anyone noticed Eli Harper was the night he stood beneath a flickering street lamp outside the old Redwood Theater, singing to no one in particular and everyone at once. Rain misted the pavement, turning broken glass into tiny mirrors, and his voice, soft, trembling, and unbelievably pure, floated into the quiet street like a prayer. People passed by, hurried and tired, but more than a few slowed their steps, unsure why their hearts suddenly felt heavier and lighter at the same time. Eli didn't have a microphone, a guitar case, or even a place to sit. All he had was a borrowed acoustic guitar with a crack down the middle and a song that had lived in his chest since he was a boy, Hotel California. And somehow, when he sang it, the world seemed to pause and listen. Eli had not always been a street singer. Once, he was just a shy kid in a small Midwestern town, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else and dreams often felt too big for the streets they were born on. His mother, a waitress with tired eyes and a heart full of quiet love, used to hum while she worked in their tiny kitchen. Sometimes she sang old classics, and sometimes she sang Hotel California, telling Eli it was a song about being trapped by life but also about the longing to be free. Eli would sit at the small table, swinging his legs, listening to her voice and feeling something deep and warm settle inside him. When she passed away after a long illness, that song became his anchor. Whenever the world felt too loud or too cruel, he sang it softly to himself, remembering her smile. Years later, when Eli left home with nothing but a backpack and his guitar, he believed that maybe, somewhere out there, his voice could become more than just a memory of the past. He traveled from town to town, playing in subway stations, bus stops, and quiet parks. Sometimes people dropped coins into his open guitar case, and sometimes they didn't. But Eli never stopped singing, because every note felt like a small piece of hope, a reminder that he was still connected to something beautiful. One evening, he found himself in Redwood City, a place known for its aging theater that once hosted legends but now sat half forgotten. Outside, under that flickering street lamp, Eli began to sing. His version of Hotel California was not loud or flashy. It was gentle, stripped down, almost fragile, yet filled with raw emotion. He sang about a lonely road, about a place you can never truly leave, and somehow, in his voice, the song became less about a hotel and more about life itself, about all the invisible cages people carry inside them. A woman named Grace was the first to stop. She was a nurse who had just finished a long shift, her feet aching, her heart heavier than she wanted to admit. When she heard Eli's voice, she felt tears well up unexpectedly. The way he sang made her think of her late father, who used to play that song on the radio during long drives. She stood there, rain soaking her coat, unable to move until the song ended. When Eli looked up, surprised to see someone listening, Grace smiled gently and dropped a few dollars into his case. "Thank you," she whispered, though she wasn't sure if she meant it for the song or for the memories it had brought back. More people began to gather. A businessman in a wrinkled suit, a teenage girl clutching her phone, an elderly couple holding hands. They all felt something in Eli's voice, a sincerity that cut through the noise of their busy lives. When he reached the final notes of the song, the small crowd broke into quiet applause, as if afraid to shatter the moment. Eli felt his cheeks grow warm, but he also felt something else, a tiny spark of belief that maybe, just maybe, his voice could matter. That night, something unexpected happened. A man named Victor, who worked as a talent scout for small venues, happened to walk by. He wasn't looking for anything special, just heading home after a disappointing day. But when he heard Eli sing, he stopped cold. There was no doubt in his mind that this boy had something rare, a voice that carried honesty, pain, and hope all at once. After the song ended, Victor approached Eli and introduced himself. He offered him a chance to perform on the stage of the Redwood Theater the following week. Eli's heart raced. A real stage, a real audience, it felt like a dream. But dreams are often fragile, and Eli soon learned that life had a way of testing them. The very next day, his guitar was stolen while he slept on a park bench. The cracked, worn instrument that had been his companion for years was gone, leaving him with nothing but his voice and a deep sense of loss. Eli felt as though a piece of his heart had been taken with it. How could he perform without the one thing that helped him express everything he couldn't put into words? Desperate and afraid, Eli went back to the street lamp outside the theater and sang a cappella. His voice wavered, not because it lacked strength, but because he was singing through tears. Grace, the nurse, happened to pass by again. She recognized him immediately and noticed the empty guitar case. When he finished, she asked what had happened, and Eli told her the truth. Without hesitation, Grace made a call to a friend who owned a small music shop. Within an hour, she returned with a gently used acoustic guitar. "It's not perfect," she said, handing it to him, "but neither are we. And we still deserve a chance." Eli could barely speak. In that moment, he realized that kindness from a stranger could feel as powerful as family. The day of the performance arrived, and Eli stood backstage at the Redwood Theater, his hands shaking as he held the guitar Grace had given him. He could hear the murmur of the audience, and for a moment, fear threatened to overwhelm him. What if he failed? What if his voice wasn't enough? Then he remembered his mother's smile, the street lamp, the people who had stopped to listen, and the nurse who believed in him. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The lights were bright, and the room was silent. Eli began to sing Hotel California, but this time, he sang it as if he were telling his own story. Every note carried the weight of his journey, the loss, the loneliness, the unexpected kindness. His voice filled the theater, rich and aching, and the audience was completely still. Some people closed their eyes. Others wiped away tears. It was as if, for those few minutes, everyone was connected by the same invisible thread of emotion. When the final chord faded, the silence lasted just a second longer before the room erupted in applause. Eli felt tears stream down his face, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming realization that he had been heard. Victor stood in the wings, smiling, knowing he had witnessed something truly special. But the most powerful moment came after the show. Eli noticed a young boy in the audience, sitting alone, clutching a battered guitar case. The boy looked up at him with wide, hopeful eyes. Eli walked over and asked him his name. "Lucas," the boy said softly. He explained that he loved music but couldn't afford lessons or a proper instrument. Without thinking, Eli handed Lucas the guitar Grace had given him. "This helped me find my voice," he said. "Now it's your turn." Lucas tried to refuse, but Eli insisted. In that simple act of generosity, Eli felt a warmth spread through his chest. He realized that his journey wasn't just about becoming a singer, it was about sharing hope. In the days that followed, Eli's performance spread online, touching people far beyond Redwood City. But no matter how far his voice traveled, he never forgot where it began, under a flickering street lamp, singing a song that had once comforted a lonely boy. And he never forgot the kindness of strangers who believed in him when he had nothing. Eli's story reminds us that sometimes, the most powerful gifts are not fame or fortune, but the simple acts of compassion that lift someone up when they need it most. His heartfelt version of Hotel California wasn't just a song, it was a bridge between broken hearts, a reminder that even in the darkest places, there is always a way to find light. And so, whenever Eli sings now, he sings not just for himself, but for everyone who has ever felt lost and found their way back through the kindness of another. His voice, once carried by a lonely street lamp, now carries a message of hope across the world, that no matter where you come from or what you've lost, your heart still has the power to change everything.